Good. As you may have noticed, I've already stocked up on food and water for at least 2 weeks after these elections. We can't take chances because there were post-election violence before in Guyana, and the stakes are at the highest now.
But why should we be afraid though? Aren't we living in more civilized times? Surely with all these international observers around, nobody would want to try stupidness.
Lil, I predict a PPP victory based on the polls we ran and some other key observations. Once the incumbent is defeated, they will want to challenge the results the same way and maybe in worse ways than they did the no confidence motion.
Challenge the results? So they could take the results to court?
I was thinking they couldn't take the no confidence motion to court, but they did. With these people, you can't put nothing past them. At this point, I'm hoping that they win so we wouldn't have to go down a dark road.
But I thought you said you voted for a small party. How could you vote for a small party and hope that the PNC wins?
I am voting for a small party, but that's not because I'm hoping that they win the elections. Anyone with sense will know that none of these small political parties can capture the presidency.
Then why vote for the losing team?
It's not about who win or lose for me, Lil. One of the big parties will win the elections without a doubt. I don't care which one of them gets into executive office, but I do care who gets into parliament.
You are confusing me, Mud.
Don't be confused, it's simple reasoning. Remember Charan Das?
Yes, Charan Das would Judas the government.
Yes, that Charan Das. What did you learn from that situation?
Well, he was one of the 33 government member of the 65-seat parliament, and because he sided with the opposition PPP, they were able to get the majority of votes to pass the no confidence motion.
That is correct, but you didn't say what you learned from that situation.
That Charan Das is a crass?
No, Lil. I mean, he is a crass for the PNC. But the lesson to be learned from that situation is that had Charan Das not been a Judas, then the no confidence motion would have been struck down. And more importantly, any motion that the opposition proposed would have been struck down. The opposition was ineffective because they were a minority in parliament.
So, if the government wanted to pass a law to jail everyone wearing red, there will be no way for the opposition to stop it?
Exactly. Which brings me to the reason why I'm voting for a small party. If there's a third or fourth force in parliament, there would be a chance for democracy to prevail. Since like in your example with the red, if there are people voting in parliament representing the interest of the people and not voting along party lines, they could objectively evaluate the motion and decide that banning red is ridiculous and vote against it.
So even though they don't have a big chance at winning, they could effectively restore balance in parliament and pass or repeal laws and policies with the interest of all Guyanese at heart.
You got good sense, you only look stupid.
But Mud, didn't we have this formula you're talking about when AFC had a few seats in parliament and was the third force between the PNC and the PPP?
I'm glad you brought that up. The AFC was a third force, but they became selfish and instead of remaining that third force, they wanted to share executive power. So they joined the PNC.
I would have done the same thing. Why be a third force when you could be the force?
That is why we have to give these smaller parties a chance. So we will not only have a third force, but hopefully a fourth, a fifth, or even a sixth force.
But suppose some of these smaller parties are PPP or PNC in disguise?
That is a very good question, Lil. The only party I truly trust is...